Hey, do you want to know what best retirement account is for you and what the real differences are between the big ones? Well, stick around and we're going to dig right into it. So, Casey Chohan here, founder of Together CFO. And one of the big questions I get asked a lot is what are the best types of retirement accounts for me? What are the differences? People just get so confused because there's so many different types and things going on that they don't necessarily know the pros and cons of each one, how they could all work for them, and ultimately what's the best one to choose, because it's just really, really confusing. What we're going to do today, we're going to break down the two biggest ones, which is the 401k IRA versus the Roth, and share a little bit about the differences, the pros and cons on both of them, and then give you what the best alternative is to those two if you wanted something that was more advanced than just the regular 401ks, IRAs, or the Roths. All right, let's dig into it. We'll switch to the whiteboard. So we're going to talk today about a 401k, and that's going to be an IRA, and it's going to be compared to a Roth. So they're the main buckets. Then when we dig down to it, let's start with the 401k. So a lot of things, a lot of companies, for the people that work for companies that are employees, they'll use this, they'll have a company match so they can actually get a little bit of a head start as well, where they're effectively putting 5% in, the company's matching 5%. It doubles that investment. So that could be a smart one for some of the employees. But really, what we're talking about here is to owners of businesses that are looking on a bigger scale than just a single individual. So the 401k IRA is tax deductible. So let's start by putting that on here. So that is tax deductible. So that's a good thing. So that means whatever you put into it is a deduction on tax, exactly what it says on the tin, right? And it is also tax deferred, but you pay the tax when you pull it out. So let's just say you're 60 or you're 70 and you pull it out. So it is tax deferred as well. And this can be a good thing or a bad thing, just depends on how you're set up. So we'll put a question mark next to that because that can be both good or bad. It is tax deferred, so you're not paying the tax now. But if we just look at the trends of tax, what's been happening over time is that the tax rate's going to keep increasing. So you may be better off paying that tax now or compared to paying it later when it might be higher. If you stick around till the end, I'm going to give you a third option, and that's going to show you a much better advanced technique than either of the IRA or the Roth. But for now, let's just focus on these two so you can get an apples to apples comparison on what's going on. And then another good thing about this is assets are totally protected, right? A lot of our clients talk about needing protection from lawsuits and things like that, because as you grow in wealth, then what tends to happen is it puts a bigger target on your back, you accumulate more assets, people are just going to try and sue you for some reason or no reason at all. And it's going to happen time and time again. So we really want to make sure that as you increase in wealth, that your assets are protected from day one so that we can reduce the target on your back for potential lawsuits. That's a good thing that your assets are protected. So when we look at this then, and we can just change the color, we've got two really good things. We like that it's tax deductible and we like that its assets are protected, but we're not so fond of being taxed at a later rate because we know in the future that this is going to be usually taxed at a higher rate, and there's no real way around that if the money is in the IRA. So now let's compare that to the Roth. So unfortunately, this is not tax deductible at the point of going in, right? Sorry, let me just type this out neatly so we can at least make a little bit of sense of my my handwriting. So not tax deductible. So that's a bad thing. But on the positive side, whatever you grow on there is now going to be tax-free growth. So it's tax-free growth, then there's no tax when you pull it out. So when you pull it out in the future, there's no tax to pay. That's great. But you can only pull this out after you're 59 and a half, or for 5 years or longer. So there are stipulations there. So when we look at the pros and cons of this, we don't like that it's not a tax deduction, but we do like the fact that it's tax-free growth. You don't have to worry about the profits. And this can be questionable whether when you pull it out, whether you're 59 and a half or after 5 years, just depending on your own situation. Now, that kind of breaks down at a high level the pros and cons of both of these two vehicles. And they are just vehicles, so you can use them however you wish within the rules and parameters of how they're set up. But generally speaking, at a high level, that's the differences between the two. But as a bonus today, for sticking around this long in the video, I'm going to give you an alternative that's even better. So let me go to the next page. So as an example, let's say that you own a business and that business is created in this shell and all the money's coming in and out and it's quite profitable. What we would recommend is actually having a trust. And again, this depends on your situation, but if the trust owns the LLC and this LLC is set up correctly as a multi-member LLC, and it's got multiple members, so the trust could be one, you could be a member, your kids could be your members, your parents, whoever you want, but it's got multiple members. So at the end of the year, this would be classed as a pass-through entity. So the profits that are made here will get passed through to the trust and passed through to you. So whatever money gets passed through to you, you would pay tax as normal. But whatever money comes into the trust, if this is the right type of trust, and let's say it is, and we know the right type of trust is a complex trust, as you've seen many of the other videos, then that's really what's going to give you the most tax advantage. Most tax advantage. And really, if you get to this stage where you can get the money from your business into a trust, the right type of trust, which is a complex trust, that's where you're going to see the most benefit from having asset protection, reduced your taxes, wealth transfer, capital gains elimination. It's all going to be in this box here, which is the complex trust. So rather than looking at Roth IRAs, 401ks, HSAs, and every one of those retirement alternatives, the best thing to do for most people, depending on how much net worth you have, is going to be looking into a complex trust structure, because that's going to give you the most bang for your buck. It's going to protect your assets. It's going to allow you to compound your growth year on year. So you can go from being rich to becoming wealthy relatively quickly. And you can use lots of other vehicles that are more powerful than retirement accounts to really compound that growth and wealth. So if you've stuck around this long, if you click the link below, we'll share with you a free tool. It's a tax savings calculator that you can just plug in your numbers. You can have a rough estimate to see how much you could save on your taxes by just structuring yourself the right way. We've showed you 3 structures today, when it's the 401k, the Roth, or the complex trust, and the differences between them. But there's nothing quite like looking into your own numbers, analyzing your own profits, and giving you a sheet just to see that, is it worth setting up a complex trust? Is it too early? Is it too late? Everything in between. Just plug in your numbers and see how much you can save. Ultimately, we're about protecting your assets, saving for retirement, but making sure you're compounding growth and becoming wealthier quicker. Thank you so much.